Hi, this is Corey P. Dunlap, the world's #1 motivational speaker, live and on location here in a classroom setting to teach you about success. Now today, I want to talk to you as we begin to enter the next quarter of this new year in 2016. I want to challenge you all to adopt a new way of thinking. Change your mindset. You know, when you change your thinking, when you have a pendulum shift, you go from thinking about negative to thinking about positive, thinking about less than to thinking about greater than, thinking about not enough to thinking about more than enough. But today I want to talk to you about C thinking. Yeah, C is the first letter of my name, Corey. But when you think about C thinking, think about the letter C, think about the letter I, and think about the letter E. The letter C talks about creativity. In fact, say that with me. Say creativity. That's right, creativity. The letter I talks about innovation. Say innovation. And the letter E talks about entrepreneurship. Say entrepreneurship. That's right, creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship. That's what I call C thinking. So let's talk about that today. Creativity. Creativity talks about creation plus activity equals creativity. When you think about creativity, think about the word process. Yes, my name is Corey P. Dunlap. The P stands for process. Think about process. Think about starting something in its raw state or raw material form, and then it goes through a middle portion or through transformation to end up to this finished product. So when you think about creativity, think about creation plus activity, all right, and that's creativity. Now, creativity also talks about generating and also something new. So when you talk about creativity, you're talking about generating, or when you think about generating, think about the word generational, think about something new. Every generation, there's something new going on. So also in creativity, I talk about something called storming your brain. You've heard the expression brainstorming, but when you flip that around, have you ever stormed your brain? When you storm your brain, you're able to extract all the things that are inside your intellect, put it down, transcribe it on paper. That's right, write it out. Now you're able to see what you were thinking and you've written it down. That's right, see what you're thinking and you wrote it down. So again, when you think about creativity, you think about creation plus activity. See, you just can't just think about something. You got to get in motion. And when you get in motion, you see the vision, you write the vision down, you make it plain upon tables to get ready to run because you're able to read it. But you can't read anything you have not first written down. So if you're going to be creative, we're talking about C, success, C.I.E. That's right, in C thinking, you want to write it down, you want to create it, get busy with some activity, take it through the process of generating it, and now you're at a place of creating something new. So when you are creative and you're involved in creativity, it's all about creating something new. The next word is I. The letter I stands for innovation. When you're innovating, all right, think about there is machinery inside of you. The first letter of innovation is I. The next letter is N. So inside of you is machinery that is creating something new. We're talking about process again. All right. So when you're dealing with innovation, you're trying to find the value of what's inside you that's new. When you think about value, invariably you think about the dollar sign. That's right, apply value to what's inside you as you go through a process of creating and generating something new. That's right, we're talking about C success or C successful thinking. C successful thinking, C.I.E. successful thinking. All right. So once you generate something new, you have captured the value. And when you assess a value to a product, say for example, you have a label, a singing label. Maybe you have a clothing line that you're coming out with. When you have captured something and you've created through activity, and now you have something new, guess what? You're going to apply a value to what you created, all right? Because you have said, you know what? There are new products and services that are going to meet the demand. That's right, supply and demand. We're talking business today. You have a new product and services to meet the demand, all right, of new and existing customers in new markets. So if you're going to develop new business, think about your existing customers, think about new customers, think about new markets, think about supplying it because they will demand it. Look over here for a second. You see this globe? I want you to think global and have a global vision of global success, world vision of global success, but like local. So when you see the globe, your vision has been expanded. Don't just put a map of your street. Don't just put a map of your neighborhood, but put a big globe on your desk so you can see the vision of where you're headed, which is all over the world. The next letter is E, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship talks about you starting your own business. Entrepreneurship. When you see the word entrepreneurship, you see the word entree. What are you delivering, that's right, in this world type restaurant that people have never tasted before? Entrepreneurs, they will work hard. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to work hard. You're going to do long hours. That's right. How much can you take? And also sleepless nights. And they're risk takers. See, if you're going to be a successful entrepreneurship, if you're going to be able to create, it's nothing that you create overnight. Sometimes there is overnight success, but most success will take time. Again, let's think about the Wright brothers. Before they perfected the craft of flying, they ran down the runway, they got the aircraft, and they put on the runway, and they did it over and over and over and over and over again until that plane finally caught flight, got into the air, and lifted up and is flying today. All right? So you have to be tolerant of ambiguity. What does that mean? Tolerant of ambiguity. That means you have to be tolerant of something that is an abstract that has no definition. But if you can see the picture through the abstract, guess what? You can see the creativity through activity, through the innovation, and now you're going towards entrepreneurship. All right? You have to have high internal local self-control. You got to know who you are at all times. Have that balance, that pH balance, that pride and humility. And then finally, you got to have a high need for achievement, which is your why. Have a high need for achievement, which is your why. What is your why? Maybe your why is your relative. Maybe your why is you have a need for making a large sum of money. Maybe your why is you want to get a new car, a new house. Maybe your why is you want to do something to leave a heritage for your children. We're talking generation here again. Creativity deals with generating, which is also generation. How about that? And also, when dealing with innovation, back to innovation, you want to deal with how can you reduce the cost. We're talking about savings today. Use fewer resources. Again, we're talking about savings again. And then reduce time, production of time. Can you do something fast in a short period of time? You know, when I worked at McDonald's, it was always about, when I was a teenager, 30 seconds or less. How quickly can you take that order at the drive-through window, get that customer through that line, and have that food at the second window much faster? You know, these days, most restaurants are adopting a two-order system in which they have two lanes that converge into one, in which they say it'll speed up the ordering process. But you know what? The two still got to come into one, and you still got to be able to cook the food faster, dress it faster, and also receive the cash quickly, and then at the same time just deliver a product that the customer will be satisfied with. That's right, and still that 30 seconds or less. Also, increase flexibility. As an entrepreneur, as you start with your creativity, go through innovation, and end up in your entrepreneurship, that's right, and on your ship, call it entrepreneurship. That's right, you're out there floating on the water. You're the captain of your own ship, which is entrepreneurship. You have to be in a position to increase flexibility. When you're out there on the water and you're sailing by yourself, you're in business for yourself. You've created it. You've become innovative. And now you're an entrepreneur. Guess what? It'll give you a lot of flexibility. You won't be conditioned to the normal or historical 9 to 5 hours. But guess what? You begin to think outside the box per se. You know, years ago I did a seminar called When You Think Outside the Box, It Attracts Increase in Corporate America. That's right, there are 24 hours in a day. Your money is no longer just made between 9 and 5. Your money is now made between the other hours of the day, before 9 and after 5. I can put it that way. That's right. So as an innovator, an entrepreneur, and a creative thinker, there are some barriers you have to deal with out there. The first barrier is perception. Your perception may be too small, or your perception may become negative. But if you change it from that negative to positive, and if you enlarge your vision, you know what happens? You'll begin to see things differently. Another barrier is emotional. You know, on this road to success, there will be times in which you may lose heart, you may get weak, you may get dismayed, you may even become afraid, become fearful. but don't allow those barriers to constrain you and hold you in place. Step across those barriers, go around those barriers, or even bust through those barriers to get to that next realm of success. The next barrier you may come against is a cultural or environmental barrier. You know, a lot of when I worked at Bell South years ago, I used to always create my environment no matter where I was. I would create an environment of success. I would make a list of things, my why as far as success is concerned. I will have successful quotes around my cubicle, if you will. In other words, I made my environment success. So when I went out on the field to do sales, you know what happened? I was already thinking success because I saw success, I spoke success, and as a result, I did success, and I was successful, and still am successful today. The next barrier you may encounter is intellectual barrier. Your intellect may be limited, but what's the cure-all for that? Acquire more knowledge. If you're in a position where you don't know as much because you can't do as much because your knowledge is limited, acquire more knowledge. You know, in today's society, there are many different mechanisms that you can use to get more knowledge. You can get on the internet, you can register for classes, you can sit under somebody's tutelage. In other words, you can ascertain those things that you need to get to that next level. But it goes back to this beginning point. How willing are you willing? How much are you willing to go through the process? How much do you want it? What about those long hours? What about those financial risks? You know, if it doesn't take a risk, if you won't take a risk, your chance of success will be minimal. You got to be willing to take a risk. You know, when I worked at Bell South years ago, Nokia had a quote. They said this right here: if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. How about that? In other words, you got to be willing to step out there. Put yourself out on a limb. Saw the limb, well, either one or two things going to happen. Either you're going to be taught to fly or you'll be caught. How about that? So be willing to take a risk. Again, this is Corey P. Dunlap, the world's #1 motivational speaker. Today talking about see something successful or see success thinking. As you change your thinking, as you have that pendulum shift, if you will, and you move swiftly in the direction of success rather than failure, you know what? You become more creative. You become more innovative, and you will develop into an entrepreneurship. And as a result of owning your own business, you will move in a position where now your increase can increase and your money can grow. And you begin to adopt the theory, say, you know what? Money does grow on trees because you know what? I've learned how to plant the right seed. A money seed, a seed of creativity. What's born in your mind can manifest in time. You have to be willing to say, you know what? I will put in the time. I will put in the long hours. I will do whatever it takes to achieve success, because success on the other side of work is success. How about that? On the other side of success is more success. But you know what? If you're not willing to put in the time, if you're not willing to be creative, if you're not willing to become innovative, that means tap on board in the inside treasure that's inside of you to manifest it on the outside. Because you know what? You were created in this world because we need something that's inside of you to make us live better, to make us become better citizens and more productive citizens out here. So again, we're talking about C, thinking, and C, successful thinking. That's creativity, that's innovation, and that's entrepreneurship. C, success thinking. Once again, it's been yours truly, Corey P. Dunlap, the world's #1 motivational speaker, live and on location, teaching you about success. Visit me online at www.eagletakeoff.com.